What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Arrival Entertainment, and today we're going to be continuing my Jurassic Park reviews leading up to Jurassic World Dominion with The Lost World Jurassic Park. The Lost World Jurassic Park came out in 1997. It stars Jeff Goldblum, Julianne Moore, and Vince Vaughn, and is once again directed by Steven Spielberg. And after the events that happened in Jurassic Park, John Hammond informs Ian Malcolm that there is a second island with dinosaurs where the higher-ups of InGen plan to exploit the island to try to take InGen away from John Hammond because of the accident that happened in Jurassic Park. And in order for John Hammond to stop that, he sends a group of people to study the dinosaurs, to get photo records of them so the public can be on John Hammond's side. On top of that, there is a second group of people going to the island, mainly hunters, to kind of take the dinosaurs off the island so they can create their own Jurassic Park in mainland. And of course, with that going on, you can kind of figure out what's going to happen after that. Dinosaurs get loose, and we have a Jurassic Park sequel. Before I get started with the video, I just want to say that if you're new to the channel, then welcome. If you enjoy this type of content, then please consider subscribing to the channel and liking and sharing this video because that really helps me out. That really helps the channel out. With that being said, let's talk about The Lost World. To me, The Lost World is honestly a pretty interesting sequel because Jurassic Park was a huge movie. It was critically and commercially successful, financially successful as well, so everyone knew that there was probably going to be a follow-up to that film. And it took 4 years to make because Steven Spielberg wanted Michael Crichton, the author of the first book, to write a follow-up book so then he can adapt that book into this new movie, which I guess wasn't fully necessary, but it's what Steven Spielberg wanted to happen, so it happened the way it is. I mean, the movie is very different from the book, besides a few things here and there, so I don't necessarily see why that he needed Michael Crichton to write a second book to make another movie, but that's besides the point. And The Lost World isn't a very popular sequel. I see a lot of negativity talked about this movie beforehand, and I still see it nowadays. However, I've always enjoyed The Lost World. I've enjoyed The Lost World ever since I was a kid when I saw it for the first time, and now as an adult, I still really enjoy it. It has its problems, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a flawless 10 out of 10 masterpiece like the first Jurassic Park movie is, but I do think this movie is very unfairly compared to the first one because of how great the first one is. One of the reasons why I still really enjoy the sequel and why it works for me is because I like the fact that this isn't just the same thing that Jurassic Park was. Sure, it's got a similar theme, man versus nature, man shouldn't interfere with nature, and there's dinosaurs getting loose and all that type of stuff we saw in the first movie, but the story is pretty different, which is something I really appreciate. The look of this movie is even a little different than the first movie for me. The first movie had kind of like warm colors, had very a warm feeling to it, but the nighttime shots were very blue and coldish. This movie has kind of like gray colors, almost desaturated colors a little bit, yet still has some bright colors going on through it. It's hard to explain, but I do like that this movie did try to separate itself from the first movie despite it being a direct sequel to the first movie. I mean, even the score of the movie is different. John Williams added a new theme to The Lost World, the da 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 da, you know, that type of theme. I've really liked that theme. I thought it's a very underrated Jurassic Park theme. But everything in this movie, to me, feels like it's trying to separate itself from not doing the exact same thing that the first film did. And I think that's something that, for me personally, is a little overlooked when people talk about this film. I also like the fact that there's new characters in this movie. This movie, I think, could have easily have just had the same three characters, Dr. Grant, Ellie Sattler, and Ian Malcolm, go back to this island, but besides Ian Malcolm coming back and John Hammond making a cameo, there's a lot new characters in this movie that I think are pretty cool. Of course, I like Jeff Goldblum. He's just as entertaining here as he is in the first movie. We spent a lot of time getting to flesh out his character a lot more, which I really appreciated. Julianne Moore as Sarah Harding, I think, is very good in the movie. She plays the girlfriend of Ian Malcolm, so they have a lot of scenes together, and they have good chemistry together. Vince Vaughn as Nick Van Owen, who's the video documentarian, he's very entertaining as well. But my favorite of the new characters in this film is Pete Postlethwaite, who plays Roland. Very awesome character. I really like how his character is. He's the lead hunter of this group that's here to take the dinosaurs off the island, and his main goal is to capture a T-Rex. There's this scene where he's talking to the new head of InGen about that's his main goal. He wants to capture a T-Rex. He doesn't want to get paid. He just wants to capture a T-Rex. And I think his dialogue in the movie is very interesting. That's something that I personally enjoy as well. I think the dialogue in this movie is pretty strong for the most part. Rewatching this movie, that's honestly something that I enjoyed a lot. I enjoyed seeing our characters bounce back and forth off each other, whether it's our group of heroes or the side characters, the hunters, and then seeing the two of them interact off each other, I thought was pretty well done. Now let's talk about the dinosaur sequences. Just like in the first movie, it's a mix of animatronic and CGI dinosaurs, and just like the first movie, it's great. It is awesome stuff to see. It holds up incredibly well, just like the first movie did. This movie is 15 years old, and I think there's maybe like one shot in the movie where you can tell that that's a CGI dinosaur. Everything else looks incredibly well done. And the highlight of the dinosaur sequences is the baby T-Rex scene. The hunters break its leg to try to capture the T-Rex, and our heroes go to fix the dinosaur's leg in their trailer, which is kind of dumb looking at it, because it's like, yeah, of course the dinosaur is gonna cry and make noises, and it's gonna attract the mother and father T-Rex, which eventually does happen. And it's obviously trying to establish that our main characters are the good guys in this movie. But setting that aside, this animatronic baby T-Rex, it's just amazing stuff. Stan Winston and his team, incredible work that they've done. This animatronic baby T-Rex looks like a real T-Rex. It doesn't look or feel fake at all. And like I said earlier, the cry of the baby T-Rex brings two T-Rexes, the mother and the father, over to the trailer and just tips the whole trailer over once they get their baby back and go to push it off the ledge. That whole sequence, I loved rewatching all these years later. It's such a suspenseful sequence. It's action-packed. The character of Eddie, who I haven't really mentioned before, but he's a pretty decent character. I like the actor that plays him. He doesn't do a whole lot in the movie until now, where the T-Rex scene happens. But while the trailer is tipping off the cliff, Eddie drives over in his Jeep to try to pull the trailer back, and then the two T-Rexes come by right when he's about to get it, and led to one of the most... It led to a scene that honestly scarred me a little bit as a kid. But of course the two T-Rexes rip through the car, they grab him by his legs, flip him over, and they both take one end of him and just rip him apart. And 8-year-old me watching that was scarred. Oh my god, I still remember how terrified I was watching that scene as a kid. Nowadays it's really impressive looking at the filmmaking part of it, but as a kid I was like, that stuck with me. But it's a great T-Rex sequence, and it honestly is up there with the sequence in the first Jurassic Park movie, in my opinion. Another sequence that stuck with me with how terrifying it is as a kid was one of the hunters, who early on was shown that he's kind of a dick, gets eaten alive by compies, and just, oh god, this movie is a lot more brutal than the first one was. But this character loses the group when he goes to use the bathroom, and then he stumbles down this tiny cliff, and then all the little compies just swarm him, and they're just eating him to shit. And watching it now, again, I watch it now and I'm like, that is great filmmaking right there. But as a kid, that scared the living shit out of me, because little dinosaurs, like they're about maybe this big, are just ripping this guy to shit. And even though he's trying to yank him off, there's nothing he can do, because they just come right back and just start eat. And they just keep coming after him. And then that final shot where he stumbles over this huge tree bark and the compies just jump over, and you just hear his screams, and then the camera pans over and you just see blood coming down through the river as he's screaming. It scared the crap out of me as a kid, and it's very impressive as an adult. And then of course the raptors come back in this movie, and there's a great sequence with the raptors killing everyone in the tall grass scene. Awesome scene. And then the raptors follow our main characters to this communication center, and it's a great sequence. It really, really is. I love the raptors in this movie. It's very suspenseful, very action-packed. Again, the effects of the raptors look incredibly well. However, this scene, of course, has got a lot of people talking because of one stupid scene that happens. Ian Malcolm's daughter stows away to the island in this movie, and it's brought up earlier when Ian Malcolm's trying to talk to her and trying to get her to calm down, that he's leaving her to go to this island temporarily, where he's saying, you know, you got all of your stuff, you got your gymnastics competitions, you've been training for that for months. And she was saying how, oh yeah, thanks, I got cut from the team, thanks for not knowing. And then that comes back when the raptor is cornering Ian Malcolm right by this window, and she jumps onto this bar and does her gymnastics flips and then kicks the raptor out the window, and a big stake impales the raptor. yeah, it's a dumb scene, and everyone points out that scene because, yeah, it sounds dumb explaining it, but it's just as dumb watching it. But that is a main scene that everyone brings up in this movie, and yeah, it's dumb, but it's like, what, 10 seconds long? Something like that? I can kind of forget about that scene. I can just move past it because it's not offensively stupid. It's not, I don't know. Everyone always brings up one little scene as a big negative in these movies, and it's not really a big negative. It's just a 10-second dumb scene that just happens and then goes away, and then that's it. It's never brought up again. So I don't really see what the big fuss is making over the scene. Yeah, it's stupid, but I don't know. I just never got why that scene in particular was like this huge deal for people when talking about this movie. But then we get to the ending of this movie where the dinosaurs that they captured are brought onto mainland, and something that a lot of people have pointed up, and I kind of do agree with it too, was it felt very rushed getting to mainland. It's like our remaining 4 heroes, Ian Malcolm, Sarah Harding, Nick, and Ian's daughter, they're rescued by the helicopter after that raptor scene, and then they see that the T-Rex was captured, and then it's just boom, we're in San Diego, we're on mainland now. And it felt like a large portion of the movie was just chopped off, and that's because a large portion of the movie was chopped off. The ending of the movie was supposed to be pterodactyls attacking the helicopters with our 4 leads in it, but they cut the scene because they felt like that wasn't a grand enough ending or something like that. So they wrote in the scene where they bring the T-Rex back to mainland. The T-Rex gets out of its cell or cage, whatever you want to call it, and rummages through San Diego, all over the streets of San Diego. It's a great sequence. I loved watching it, but I will agree, getting to it, more work should have been done, I feel like. But I like how Ian Malcolm and Sarah Harding have to use the baby raptor to lure the T-Rex back into the boat so they can take it back to Isla Sorna, because obviously now our characters realize that bringing dinosaurs back on mainland was a stupid idea. So it's a great sequence. It's just that a couple parts in that sequence could have been worked a little bit better. But besides those issues, I honestly still really, really enjoy The Lost World. It's not better than Jurassic Park, but I think this movie is very unfairly compared to how great Jurassic Park is. I've always liked how different it is compared to Jurassic Park. I've always liked the new characters. It's got a lot of great sequences. The movie looks incredible. The effects are great. There's just some dumb parts here and there where I can understand why people would get upset with those dumb scenes because there wasn't a whole lot of it in the first movie, but I can forget about those dumb scenes because everything else that I mentioned that I do like really do outweigh the negatives for me. If you haven't seen The Lost World because of all the negative talk behind it, or you just haven't seen it in a long time, maybe give the movie a second chance. It definitely doesn't deserve the hate that a lot of people give it. I think it's a very underrated sequel. I've always enjoyed watching it, and I've liked it even a lot more as an adult. And I think it's a definite Blu-ray purchase. I've, again, really enjoy it, and I don't think it's worth all the hate that a lot of people give it. So guys, that is my review for The Lost World Jurassic Park. Just like always, let me know what you thought of the film down in the comment section below. And just like always, guys, thank you again so much for watching. I'm going to be back with my review for Top Gun Maverick coming very soon, as well as a huge flux of reviews for Jurassic Park 3, Jurassic World, and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, a re-review leading up to Jurassic World Dominion. So look forward to all those videos I'm going to be doing very soon. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to like and share it. Subscribe right here if you haven't already. And until next time, guys, take care.